Hi, I'm Chris Wardlaw for Auto by Tel, and today we're reviewing the 2014 Lexus RX 350. Now, this is the most popular luxury crossover SUV in its class. They sell over 100,000 of these things every year, and the price starts at almost $40,000 before you add any options. Now, I happen to be driving the RX 350 model. This car also comes in an RX 350F Sport that's got a sport tuned suspension, a different transmission, and it's got some revised styling on it. It also comes as the RX 450H, which is a gas-electric hybrid model that gets better gas mileage and is also more powerful at the same time. The RX 350, though, is the one that everybody buys. This is the one I just spent a week driving. So let's learn more about the 2014 Lexus RX 350. So it's been a few years since the RX 350 got a redesign, but last year, Lexus did put its new spindle-style grille on the front end. You can see that it angles in now in a more dramatic fashion than the previous version of the car. Now, ever since the RX first debuted back in 1999, I've kind of felt like it has a face that only its mother can love. And I feel the same way about this. And ever since they redid the grille, now it just looks like a little kid having a tantrum. I mean, it looks like this. You know what I'm saying? Now the F Sport model looks a little bit better. It's blacked out in the front. The grille's actually a little more dramatic, but it helps because there are these big scoops that are also installed on the front end. That's the F Sport model. This model doesn't have it, and I gotta tell you, I just really don't think the RX is very good looking. But from the front wheels back, it's very rakish, it's stylish. It's a great looking SUV. It's just that front end. Not that you're ever gonna have to open this hood, because the RX 350 enjoys a near bulletproof reputation for reliability. But if you do, you're gonna see a bunch of very pretty plastic, and underneath that is a 3.5 liter V6 engine making 270 horsepower. Now this is Toyota's workhorse 3.5 liter V6. They install it in a large number of products. In the RX 350, it is very refined, it's very isolated. You barely even notice that it's here. Plus, it feels a lot more powerful than the 270 horsepower rating would suggest. Now, an RX weighs a lot more than, say, a Camry or an Avalon or even an ES 350, so it doesn't feel quite as energetic, but this is a pretty quick little SUV. You know, there's nothing really to see under here, so I'm just gonna close this for now. My test car's got a 6-speed automatic transmission. If you get the F Sport model, you get an 8-speed automatic, and that does two things for you. Number one, it quickens acceleration, and number two, it gets better fuel economy. I can't figure out why they don't just put it in every one of the RXs. I mean, isn't this the company that's supposed to be about the relentless pursuit of perfection? Now, as far as fuel economy is concerned, the EPA says I should have gotten 21 miles per gallon. I got 20.9. Now that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Before you get too excited that maybe the EPA got a number right, you should know that I spent most of my time driving this on the highway and not in combined city highway driving, which is what that EPA number is based on. So once again, if you're thinking you're gonna get the EPA rating, you're probably not going to. As you would expect, the RX 350 comes with a power tailgate. As you can see, it takes its sweet time opening, like most of them do. Behind the second row seat, there's 40 cubic feet of cargo space. That's plenty of room for a full-size suitcase, a big camera bag. This is a compact folding stroller, but as you can see, there's a lot of wiggle room in here. Lexus doesn't offer a third row seat in this vehicle, and I think that's actually smart. Now, a lot of people might go, where's the third row seat? I'm not gonna buy this RX without a third row seat. Of course, they're selling over 100,000 of these a year, so I don't think many people are saying that. The problem is if you put a third row seat in a vehicle of this size, everybody just gets all smushed together, you lose cargo space. Nobody wants to ride in the third row seat anyway. There's no windows back there for people to see out. You stash some kids in there, they're just gonna be mad at you. Plus they're too close to the tailgate if you get rear-ended. Seriously, I think it's just best that it's a 5-passenger vehicle. Now the back seat is a 40-20-40 split. That allows you to carry 2 people and a set of skis or a snowboard or whatever you want to slide in there. If you fold the rear seats down, you've got 80 cubic feet of cargo capacity. That's a pretty good number for a vehicle this size. Now, one of the reasons it's good that there's no third row seat in the RX is that the second row seat is a little bit snug. Not a lot, but a little bit. I've got plenty of leg room here. Footroom's a little snug. I am wearing some fairly sizable boots today though, so, take that with a grain of salt. The big comfort problem in the back seat though is that the bottom cushion sits very low in the vehicle and very flat. So when I'm in here, I just kind of feel like I'm slouching and I'm kind of splay-legged. There's really no support, and it's really bothersome to me. Now there is a nice center armrest here. It's got a storage console. Everything's nicely finished. You got a couple of big cup holders. My test car's got the dual screen DVD player. I've got a power outlet here, video input jacks, volume controls for headphones. So it's outfitted properly, and I gotta tell you, the materials are pretty top quality. I just wish the seat sat higher and gave me more thigh support. Then everything would be perfect. Now, if you're gonna get into a Lexus RX, I recommend getting into one of the front seats because they've got a wide range of adjustability, really terrific lumbar support, and they're exceptionally comfortable. Plus, the leather is very plush, it's very soft. Really, this is a very well done cabin. I mean, it's artfully styled. Look at the way that these surfaces kind of blend into one another. There's this elegant arc here, and it doesn't affect the ergonomics either. I mean, some people might not like this gigantic shifter in the middle of the dashboard, but really, when it's in drive, it's not blocking the climate controls at all. And some of the ancillary functions like the navigation system, any other vehicle settings outside of the basic stereo and climate stuff, it's all controlled using what's called a remote touch controller. So using a very simple set of buttons, this is like a computer mouse, it moves around and it corresponds to a cursor that's on the screen. Okay, so if I bring up the main menu, you've got a choice here. You got destination, you've got the Lexus Inform apps. You can set up all your different preferences. You can connect your phone. You can control certain climate functions, different sources of media, radio. Everything is located right there, and it works just like a computer mouse, so it's very intuitive. Some people don't like it, but I happen to think that this is one of the better systems. The only thing that I don't like very much is that the remote touch interface is a little bit sticky. There's too much resistance when you're trying to get from one thing to another. Lexus says it has solved that for the 2015 RX 350, which is actually about to go on sale. It's going to be an early release vehicle, should be in dealerships by April, May of 2014. Really clear gauges, a fantastic steering wheel. Everywhere you want to rest your elbows, it's soft, it's plush, it's padded. My test car's got heated and cooled seats. The controls are kind of inconveniently located here because you have to slide this back to access them, but it is what it is, right? You've got a couple of cup holders here. I can understand why people buy the RX solely on the strength of the quality of the cabin. Now, if you've ever known anybody who's owned a Lexus RX or who has wanted to own a Lexus RX, you totally understand why Lexus engineers are so relentlessly focused on making this as quiet, as composed, and as comfortable a crossover SUV as possible. They don't care about driving dynamics, and I'm not talking about the Lexus engineers, I'm talking about the buyers. Now, the F Sport model's a little bit different. It's got a different transmission, it's got a sport-tuned suspension, it's got some other little tweaks here and there, bigger wheels and tires, and it actually does exhibit a degree of athleticism. The standard RX 350 though, the one that most people buy, I kept thinking the whole week that I was driving this car this week, that this is what Goldilocks would want if she were an actual person. And the reason is because the RX isn't too big, it's not too small, it's not too fast, it's not too slow. All the driving dynamics are perfectly acceptable. There's nothing offensive about driving this vehicle, but there's nothing engaging about driving it either. And I took this out on my Twisty Mountain road loop, and it didn't do well. And the reason is because It sits high, it's got a higher center of gravity than a sedan, it's got a shorter wheelbase. And so, those are the penalties to be paid if you are looking for a tall driving position combined with a big cargo area. Or if you just need all-wheel drive. Now, if you don't care about any of those things and you're thinking, oh, I just want to have a Lexus SUV, I'd really strongly suggest that you try the Lexus ES350 sedan out for size, because that's a pretty terrific car. I was really impressed with that. And aside from the fact that it doesn't have a big cargo area or optional all-wheel drive, there's nothing wrong with getting an ES350. Plus, you get better gas mileage with that. But if you decide that you really want to have the SUV, I can understand why people buy the RX. I get it. I wouldn't buy one, but I get it. Now, the 2014 Lexus RX 350 is an aspirational vehicle for a lot of people, and for no other reason than it is a Lexus SUV. I'm not going to take that away from anybody, because the reality is that even if you don't like the way it looks up front, this is a very safe, practical, reliable, and high-quality crossover SUV. For Auto by Tel, I'm Chris Wardlaw, and I'll see you right back here next time.